Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today, my guests are in town from New York and Minnesota.
Yes.
Nailed it.
And they're here for Capitol Hill Block Party. They're a band. They met each other at Berkeley Music of the Arts. Correct?
Berkeley College of Music. Well, no,
Same thing.
Same thing.
I was close. They have, I could be wrong with this too, but I think you guys have 5 projects together. You have one collab project also. So I consider it 5 projects together. Your latest project is called My Friend Mika.
Yeah,
My friend Mika.
Mika? There we go. And today, you've done enough interviews where I don't feel like you guys have to cover like your background as much. And I'd like to focus on your take on the music industry, being here in Seattle for a Capitol Hill Block Party, and what it's like to be in a band that's openly part of the LGBTQ plus community.
For sure.
So I'm here with
Hi.
India.
Hello.
And I think we nailed it. There's just so much technology going on. Also, we're at my new studio. So welcome, guys. So is this your guys' first time here in
It is,
Seattle?
Yeah, first time. Though we're huge Twilight fans, so we
It's been
feel
a
like we've
lifelong
been
dream.
here. This has been years in the making. And yeah, no, when we flew in, we were looking at the mountains. We're like, literally, that song was playing the whole time in the back of my head. We're looking for like Edward and Bella up
to
in
the
the
Twilight
trees.
soundtrack on my way here, so it's fine.
I don't think I've ever watched like all the movies together.
You
I've seen, like,
gotta.
one.
Okay, that's like worth your time.
I say I'm Team Edward because that's my
That's
middle
fair.
name.
That's
I
fair.
feel like that's the
Right?
popular
But-
opinion.
But he's the
He's the
vampire.
vampire,
though,
yeah.
actually, right? I don't know. I think I want to be a fucking
Team
werewolf,
Jacob.
right?
It's hard. Neither
I
of them are
think-
great options.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier
for
today.
a
Too.
Yeah.
partner, but I feel like I grew up Team Edward, definitely.
Yeah.
And
God, this gets me. I was Team Edward growing up, and then I reread the books last year, and I was like, jeez. I feel like there's a lot of ways she only likes him because he's a vampire, and she has like a better personal connection to Jacob.
yeah,
I
they
feel like
have more
get
fun
along
together.
better.
They get
yeah,
each
like
other.
they can hang out. I feel like once the surprise of Edward being a vampire is gone, that relationship's going to change a little bit.
I mean,
But
She
I don't think
becomes
she
a-
likes Jacob in the way that he wants her to. So that's why I just can't be Team Jacob.
no, he was like in love with her, like future child, right?
They both live forever or no?
I
Yeah.
think they do. Yeah, as long
Yeah.
as Jacob
No.
continues to become a werewolf, right? Like
or he just like ages more slowly, right?
No, I thought like when he transforms, like as long as there's like a vampire around, he'll keep staying the same age, right? As soon as he stops morphing, isn't that when they start to die off or like age more?
Or what if there's like a volcanic eruption, you know, where like the clouds like covered in smog, like you can't see the moon or the sun.
I think
So
it's
what do you do
easier
then?
for werewolves to die, but vampires are like basically indestructible unless you light them on fire. In the Twilight world, you
Yeah, you
have
gotta
to
rip
rip
them
them
apart
apart
and
and
then-
light them on fire.
You gotta rip them apart, start a fire.
So you can go
toss
surfing
them.
with them or something. You could be in the sun.
They sparkle.
Yeah, they'll just like sparkle, which is so fruity.
And then 50 Shades of Grey is like based
Yes.
on that or something?
but they don't
the other
sparkle
thought
in
goes
50
my
Shades
head
of Grey,
since I've been here too.
unfortunately.
There we go. So is this your guys' first tour as well, or have you guys been on tour?
We've been
before?
on one tour before. Our first tour was last May with Remo Drive, and that was like our first time ever touring. This will be our first like music festival situation. So we did one in Savannah, Georgia, and it was a little more unconventional. So I feel like this will be more of our like first like actual music festival, which is very exciting.
What do you mean by like?
It was in like an abandoned rail train yard. Yeah,
Train
so
yard, yeah.
the
Train
stage
yard?
was like in
Railroad?
an abandoned like I don't know. Yeah,
It was some building
warehouse with
empty
trains in it. Yeah,
warehouse
so
type thing.
I think this will be more like in my head how I imagined what a music festival to be. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
still loved the abandoned train yard situation. Just yeah, I'm excited for
Hell
this.
yeah. And how did it come together? You guys come into Seattle for this tour?
That's a great
I
question.
don't
think
know.
our
I think
agents.
yeah, we got booked
somehow
for the
got us.
festival, and they asked us if we wanted to come. We said yes,
said,
we really, really do
"Absolutely,
want to
we
come.
would like
Yeah,
to come
yeah,
to
yeah.
Seattle,
If only to see Charlie XCX perform. Yeah, I'll come. Yeah.
I hope everyone gets tickets, right? If you're performing, right? I hope that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
how it
Very
No,
works.
excited.
absolutely. Yeah, I think we get to go to all 3 days of the festival, which we're like,
Hey.
hell yeah, let's go.
So for hip hop, I don't know if it's as popular for it to be like a tour stop Seattle, but as a band, you guys feel like this is a place that you need to come to tour?
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely. We
We're-
haven't been here yet. So this is our first
No.
time performing here, and then we're going on tour in September, and we're also stopping here again. So, yeah, excited. I feel like I've always really wanted to play here. So
I mean, it's such a rich history.
Yeah, got Nirvana, right?
Yeah,
Jimi Hendrix. We got-
there's
we got
like
a
a
few
ton of
people.
stuff that happened
Cat
here.
the
I'm like,
Cutie.
shit, this must be kind of the place.
rich
It's a rich history of music.
I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah,
to be honest
right.
with you guys. Like I only started listening to Nirvana last summer.
Whoa.
Honestly, isn't that fucking weird?
Whoa. And you grew up here. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, how
were
do
you like
it?
rebelling
Yeah.
against Seattle? You're like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna listen to Nirvana.
Grunge? Absolutely not.
It's timeless, honestly. So you guys consider yourselves like a band, right? It's a duo though. So do you only need 2 people to be in a band, or is it
I
called?
don't know. I like to call us a band.
Yeah.
Something about duo. I'm always like, I don't know if I like to be.
duos feel weird.
Yeah, I have a
It
weird vibe
feels
to
like-
them.
Yeah. But I would definitely call us a band. I feel like that just feels more fun. But we do play with a live band when, like, if we can afford it. We'll have a drummer and a bass player. But if not, it'll a lot of times just be the 2 of us playing to like live tracks that we've made and gotten ready. So that's how we did our last
Extreme
tour. Was just the
karaoke.
2 of us. Yeah, extreme karaoke is literally what it is.
So how did you guys start going on tour in the first place? Like, did you like get an agent and a manager, or like was your first tour just like you guys? Because when I went on my first tour, I only spent like $2,000, but like I budgeted and drove everywhere that I went, but I don't know if it's different since you guys got success from your first few projects, or what was that like
I
for
mean,
you
it
guys?
took us a really long time to be able to tour. We've been making music together since like 2015, right?
I guess that's when we first met. We didn't
yeah.
really do it seriously.
We know
for a
we
while,
were
but
like
we
a
would-
country band for a long
Yeah.
time, and then about 2.5 years ago we became Boyish. And even like we've just been. We were called the Blue for a lot of years, and then finished college, and both were like, we don't like that, and we don't like the music we're making. So what are we doing? And so we changed it, and it was just a lot of like playing locally, and just I feel like we booked our own like sort of tours, or Nicole, our manager, who's over there, kind of
Shout out
routed
Nicole.
like
Nicole.
little mini tours for us, and we started doing that, and then eventually very recently we got agents, and that's been extremely helpful, and they help us book things.
So for a while, you guys were like living in the same state, right? So Berkeley's in California, am I
So
wrong? Or is
Yeah,
that
it's
Boston?
in Boston.
Boston.
There is a Berkeley
Yeah.
in California.
You're right and wrong.
So you guys were first starting out touring like in Boston, or what was that like?
because we went to college there, and most of what we did actually towards the end of college was just going down to New York, like over and over every weekend. I think we spent all of our money on like mega bus tickets every weekend just to like
overnight
trek down there.
mega
They
bus
were
tickets.
horrible. I would you cannot pay me enough to go back to that. But then from there,
We did New York. We
Yeah.
did shows in Boston because we were there, and then we did a couple shows in Minnesota, like your hometown.
we're at my hometown.
So definitely just sticking to places where we knew people. Then I think the first cities we played in that weren't those were Chicago and
And
Nashville,
Nashville.
and we did that
Last summer.
Last summer, yeah, it was
yeah.
the first time we'd ever played shows like sort of outside of our home state, which was very exciting.
And you're originally from New York, correct? So what was that like touring in New York? Like, did you know like the venues you were going to, or as you were coming up, was it like smaller
yeah,
venues?
definitely. I think the first show we played ever in what was that venue
It was
called?
like the back room of some
Yeah.
brewery out in Bushwick.
Nicole, do you remember the name? Oh,
No, that was the
maybe.
second one.
There's one show we did at Rockwood, which I knew that venue from growing up, but it was like a midnight slot, and
yeah, midnight on a Sunday. I remember it was midnight
yeah,
on a Sunday.
we were like, okay, we're doing it. And so I knew that venue, and it's been nice to sort of play more and more venues there, like the more successful we've gotten, or the whatever, just like explore different venues that I used to go to growing up. We recently played at Music Hall Williamsburg, and that was huge for me because I love that venue and I grew up going to that venue.
So when you first toured, was it just friends going, or did you have an audience that wanted to see
Oh,
you?
no. We had to
it was
beg
my
people,
mom
yeah.
and her friends, and like
we're like, please come.
my friends and Nicole's roommates who were like, you need to be here.
Yeah.
So it started off a lot like that, like playing shows for maybe 10, 20 people.
It was, we had no draw. And we
At
were
all.
literally like, we'll just give you the ticket. Just show up,
Please
come. We'll buy it for you.
What did you guys like? When did you start seeing like success show wise? Like I feel there's always like numbers wise that come first because that's how people find you. But like when did you start seeing success, like more people were coming to your shows and it was like surprising to you guys?
Honestly, not until last year,
Last
maybe.
year, yeah. I feel like before the pandemic, we had a lot of shows where we're like, okay, it's empty, like it's fine.
Yeah, you book a bill with like 5 other bands,
Yeah.
and then everyone would show up for the band they came for, and then they'd leave, And so it's just
I've seen
classic,
that.
classic.
And
Holy
then we didn't really play any shows for like a year, probably, right?
Yeah, because
Because
pandemic
of the pandemic. And then the first
was
couple shows we played after the pandemic were when we saw people coming and who like knew the words to our songs and like were actually excited to be there, and that was very shocking. And I'm still not used to it. Like anytime people come to one of our shows, I'm like in shock, genuinely, every single time.
Yeah.
Did you guys like try different tactics during the pandemic, or was it just continuously releasing music?
No, we definitely fully switched tactics for how we write
How to
music
write,
and
yeah.
produce music.
That was
and
huge because we had released one of our albums, Garden Spider, like 3 weeks before the pandemic started, which was horrible. It was like the worst timing you could come up with.
which was just
So
bad.
we dropped that, and the whole time we're like, we're gonna go play shows for this thing. Like, it'll be sick. We'll do this, and then it was like all of our plans got scrapped all at once. So we're like, okay, I guess the only thing we can do is write. But like, what's the point of writing something and releasing it right now when we don't know when this thing will be over? So we decided to just like really slow it down. And I think it helped also that we weren't in the same place for a long time because I was in Minnesota at the time and you were still in New York.
You were in New York. We played our last show March
13th,
2020, and Claire was in New York staying at my mom's house. And then March 14th,
Yeah, I got a call from my mom.
your
She's like,
was like,
get out of here. And I was
leave.
So like your families are pretty close at this
Yeah.
point? Or?
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been at India's mom's house way too much. We're like besties at this point.
Claire and my mom like go out to
Yeah,
lunch.
we love the lunch. It's hilarious.
Wait, so how many projects have you released during the pandemic then? It's like
We did We're All Gonna Die, but Here's My Contribution was our first one during the pandemic. That one came out I
Early
guess that was 2021. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we did My Friend Mika. So just 2, and then Garden Spider was right before then, you know.
and for the audience, who is Mika for the audience?
I was just gonna say as our friend, which is so stupid.
Yeah, they're our friend Mika.
Yeah, Mika is one of our friends from New York, who is just one of my favorite people on earth. Is so just like authentically themselves, and I think they were such an inspiration for me to start using they them pronouns to feel like safe and accepted. I think they've been such a role model for me. So we kind of dedicated this EP to them for just, I don't know, I think they really helped me out of my shell the past year. So they mean the world to us.
And do you guys both, or do you just use they them?
Yes,
or
I
was it
use
like-
they them, and
Yeah, I use she or they. Really, anything I'm cool with. Yeah.
So Minnesota is it pretty like conservative there, or what's it like there?
it's a weird mix where typically the past couple of years it's voted liberal, and the Twin Cities itself is like a super liberal place. But then as soon as you kind of get out of that metro area, you're like, hello, rednecks. It's like Trump country. But while you're in Minneapolis or in St. Paul, it's a blast, and people
Right.
are really, really cool. And I love it there. But I think it's definitely had its problems, especially with police brutality and George Floyd.
Yeah.
The past couple of years has been really rough in Minneapolis. And I think they're going through a lot of changes. But the good news is I feel like a lot of the people I know there are very active and are very politically driven too, and are like showing up for their community, which I think is sick. But it's a weird place for that reason, where it's like really, really cool in the cities, and then you leave and you're suddenly like, I'm a little afraid.
I feel like that's almost everywhere though.
It's
like,
so
even
true,
here in
yeah.
Seattle, like I say this almost every single episode in the podcast, but I live in the woods. Okay.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay.
The closest city to me is like 15 minutes away from me, right? So like it's about an hour outside of Seattle, and there, of course, there's like people that have just like vote for Trump still up in their fucking yard, and it's been like how long?
And now they've moved on to Trump 2024.
Yeah.
Oh, please, no.
But we're like here in Seattle, it's very open-minded, but like
Right.
I'm only an hour outside, even less. Like I'm an hour outside of Seattle, but even less than an hour outside of Seattle.
You start seeing that
You
stuff.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even upstate New York too. As
Upstate
soon as
New
you
York.
leave New York City, even New Jersey too, like
Right.
just the surrounding
Staten
areas.
Island.
Staten Island, even
Oh.
in New York City.
South Brooklyn. Do you remember like Diker Heights and stuff? There was
Yeah.
all the Trump signs.
Yeah, I was like, what
That's
are
a
you
rough
guys doing?
neighborhood, right,
I
guys?
know, right?
So what about you? Did you grow up in like New York City or?
Mhm. I grew up in like Tribeca, and then when I was like 7, I moved to Brooklyn.
Oh.
And just grew up there my whole life, and then went to college in Boston, and then moved right back.
So are you like rough and tumble? Would you say? Are you
No,
scrappy
I
at
grew
all?
up in a neighborhood. It's
India's
called
scrappy.
Cobble
I
Hill.
say.
So
India scares me.
I wouldn't say.
I
that-
personally am
Cut me right
afraid.
now. or what?
I feel like India doesn't take shit. You know,
That's
like,
just because my
India's
mom
like-
is scary. Like I had to learn from her.
Yeah.
I was just in New York for the first time in May, and it was just
Wow.
not being from there. It's super inspiring, but it's also
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I'm using this right. The grass is always greener on the other
Yeah.
side, right? So like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I live here in Seattle, so I don't know why the fuck people come here for vacation.
Yeah, fair.
Right? So like, I might say New York's inspiring, but you live in there, you're like, what the fuck?
I actually love New York.
Okay.
Like I've always loved it. It's one of my favorite places, and I think because I moved away for 4 years to Boston, which I didn't love, honestly. Like it was a good place to go to school, but I would never live there.
What's it like? I've never been to Boston.
It's very
Kind of got a fratty feel.
yeah,
in a way.
definitely a fratty feel. A lot of like sports bars. There's
There's a
not,
ton
like,
of colleges too. I
Yeah.
mean, there's Harvard, there's like MIT, Northeastern, Boston College and University right there too, and then Berkeley,
mhm.
like Emerson. There's like a million college kids
Yeah.
in there at one time.
Yeah. And I would say there's just like not a lot to do. Maybe I just didn't do enough in college, but I would say
Were you guys like, are you guys nerds? Or like, were you guys were in sororities or anything? Were you like
Oh,
party
no.
people? Or
Oh
like,
god, no.
No.
Well, Berkeley didn't have any Greek life
got it.
at all.
mhm.
Though if it did, we probably still wouldn't be
be in
in
it,
it.
yeah.
But I feel like most Berkeley parties were like house shows in people's basements out a little bit outside of
It's,
Boston.
like all music related stuff.
Yeah, it
There's
was-
a lot of
So
like,
it always kind of felt like you were still at school because everyone's like, okay, now watch me play music, and you're like,
like,
Mm.
I
"Still
will.
going." Yeah.
That's interesting because I don't want to be butchering this, but there is a house show scene in Seattle,
Mhm.
and a lot of people actually came up that way. They're
Yeah,
actually
for sure.
Like big bands in Seattle, but from my understanding, from tech moving to Seattle, it's actually made it so
Oh.
the house show scene has gone away
Mm.
because like
Whoa.
prices increase, so people have to
Yeah.
move farther outside of Seattle. So it's
Sad.
but you're saying the house show scene's pretty. That's a kind of a tongue twister. House show scene. Okay.
House show scene,
There you
yeah.
go.
Oof.
You
Is
got
it? Yes. Would you say it's pretty prominent in Boston then?
For sure.
Yeah, I would say
I think that
definitely.
was honestly the way we started out playing because we couldn't really book at these venues in Boston because they're always
Again,
like,
we
how-
had no
yeah, they're
draw.
like, how many people are you going to bring out? We're like, none.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many people are just randomly sitting at this bar that can listen to us?
We
Like, that's
bring
who we
maybe
got.
3 people,
Yeah.
and they're all playing on stage with us.
Right. But if people at school like knew that you were having a show with a bunch of these other bands, it would be packed, and these basements would be packed, and they were so fun to play.
Mhm.
Like we loved doing it.
Mhm.
And I think that was really important for our career starting out because we had like literally no other options.
Right. But was your come up different than other bands that you were playing with? Do you see your guys yourselves being farther ahead than other bands you were playing with, or what was that like?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to sell.
Sell.
It's hard to sell. It's really hard to tell because I don't know how to measure success in the music industry. I
Right.
feel like there's so many different facets and so many different areas within the music industry that people can be successful in. So I have really no idea like where we measure up in comparison to other people
Right.
doing what we're doing, or even people not doing what we're doing but still being in music, you know. So it's very
Yeah.
hard to tell like what
I feel
success
like
means.
A lot of the Berkeley bands we really loved though are no longer together,
Right.
which is a sad thing. I feel like once graduation hit, everyone kind of dispersed.
And they're all doing really cool things.
And
Right.
is that even outside of COVID, probably, or is that just because they were just together as friends during school?
I wonder.
I just wonder like how many people, I think a lot of bands that started at Berkeley and stuck with it are actually doing really well, or doing like, I know there's a band at Berkeley called Lilacs that now does really cool stuff, and they live in LA and they do a lot of production, and I'm trying to think of other ones, but
There's none.
that one came to mind.
There's just Boyish, and that's it. Check them out.
No, I feel like I know a lot of people who are doing sort of what they want to be doing and are really happy. And I don't know if like staying in a band was necessarily like the goal they had in mind
that's a good
too.
point.
And I think it was like Claire and I being like, no, like I want to be in a band forever.
Like
and
band
then
or nothing else.
sticking with that.
I'm not getting a job, Mom. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be in a band.
So, like, in your guys' bio, you say something about like a professor or someone telling you guys to work together versus doing like the competition or whatever you guys were in. So, after getting that advice, do you ever think about, was it important to still go to school for music, or do you think you guys would have had the same success? Just
Right.
I guess I don't know if you guys would have met though. You know what I
I
mean?
think
Do you
about this.
that?
I think about
all
this all the
the
time,
time.
yeah.
This is my intrusive thought. You go first.
I feel like it's interesting. I feel like I have a lot of anxiety about age in the music industry. and
Yes,
being
dude,
like,
same.
being like, okay, I didn't make it by, age 17. So that means I'm never going to, reach the level of success, and I shouldn't have gone to college. However, I was not ready at all, like right out of high school. I didn't have the skill set. I didn't have any platform or knowledge or base to sort of start a music foundation. That's the word I was looking for. And if anything, like I met Claire at college and I learned, I didn't love Berkeley, unfortunately.
Oh, why is that?
I think I just didn't do it right. I didn't.
You were bullied, weren't you?
I was
The tears.
horribly bullied. No, I loved the people I met, and I loved a lot of the classes I took. I just think I picked the wrong thing to
The wrong
study.
major, yeah.
Maybe. But I will say I met you, and I got to play a lot of cool shows and learn a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to elsewhere. So I think I was there because I was supposed to be there, and I wouldn't be where I am today without being there. So I think I have made my peace with that.
Right.
Heck yeah.
No, I agree. It's like, for me, I studied production and recording
Got it.
along with writing. And I don't feel like I got a ton out of the writing, but the production and the recording aspect of Berkeley was so important because we produce everything ourselves. And I think if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't know how to produce anything. And I think that's such a game changer as far as how we want our music to sound. Because before, like when we first started writing songs and like trying to record them, we let other people take most of it and like just they would mic it up. We'd be like, great, it's tracked. Like, see ya.
That's
And-
production. Like,
Yeah,
it's
we're
done.
like, oh, that's how you cut an album. You just sit there for 10 minutes and then you go home. Like we're like, that's good enough. But it's not, so I think learning that and being able to do it on our own has been one of the most important steps in our career. Because otherwise we would not sound anything like the way we sound right
I have
now.
a question for you right now, actually.
Yeah.
I had, shout out to Leah. She's from Seattle. She's a producer. And she was telling me that, this was months ago though, but like she's kind of been typecast when she tries to talk about being like a producer, and everyone's like, oh, if it's a girl producer, they're gonna just how do you make a girly beat or whatever it is, or however you identify, right? You know, like have you ever how have you dealt with like people trying to stereotype you when they look at you and being like, you can't produce, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like India gets this way worse than I do. Because it's funny, even when India and I do anything, people will look at me and be like, oh, you're more masculine. Like, we must direct everything to you. So I take a lot of that. But I did a lot of internships in studios. And I found one of the weirdest things that would happen is that I feel like I'm a naturally pretty like goofy, stupid person, but in those environments
I would say I'm naturally stupid.
And yeah, literally, like I just want to like hang out and have fun. But in those environments, I felt like I had to be like like mean. I was like, I gotta be like chop chop chop, like
constantly like
yes,
proving
like,
that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm like, you need a cable, like I'm there. You need to plug this thing. I was busting my ass for it. I mean, it like wasn't. I didn't feel like myself at all because I really felt like I had to be serious. Because if I goofed off, people are like, idiot, you know? And I've seen it happen to other non-male interns that I've worked with before, that if they like are kind of goofy or having fun, that sometimes these guys that run the studios are like, yeah, they write them off. They're like, whatever, like airhead or whatever stupid shit they think. But yeah, we found that a lot where sound engineers, recording engineers, anyone will kind of like
live sound
especially will not even address India with things and will come straight to me, which has been really, really interesting. Or we have this all the time too, where guys will be like, oh, can we show you something that I worked on? And they'll only like ask me to go listen to it, and they don't ask India. And I'm like, it's so sad, because it's like you do realize like everything we do is together, and I think people somehow assume that I'm the one doing it all, and India, I don't know what they think you're doing, but it's really, really frustrating. I think it really pisses us off.
Yeah, break that down for us, India. How do you feel about that? Tell us how you're really feeling.
India's like the steam coming up.
No, I mean, I think it's interesting because you're not a man, so you don't entirely have like that experience too, where like everything's super easy and like you get everything. And but I will say, like, presenting more femininely, I definitely notice a difference in how I'm spoken to, or just like the expectation of what my knowledge is, or like my skill level is way lower, or people are like surprised that I've like programmed drums or something. That's always it. It's like, oh, you did the drums? And you're like, yeah, I did. But I feel like it used to really bother me, and I definitely felt like I always had to be on and be like, I have to show you that I did this and I can do this. But I think right now I'm chilling. I'm like, if you don't want to like show me your work, that's fine. Like, I'm good. I'll work on my stuff and it'll be good. Right. And we can like make something awesome, and it doesn't have to be necessarily like, I've sort of let go of the need to like really prove myself to certain people, because if they were worth like, I don't know, anything, that's extreme. That's extreme. But they would sort of just like,
fuck them. All right? Guys, come on, let's just say it together.
I don't know. I feel like they would sort of recognize that, or even like address me in certain situations, you know? But yeah, I don't know.
Right. There's something to say about overcoming obstacles like that. But going forward, as this is, you know, this podcast is about helping creatives like express themselves and inspire other creatives as well. So what are some ways we can stop that from happening going forward, do you think, for other people, or like some advice you'd have for people?
I would say that's a tricky question, but I would say the thing that has helped me feel like most empowered in certain situations is honestly to have the vocabulary to talk about like what you want exactly. Because even if like it's over explaining, you're showing people again that you know what you're talking about, and you know what you want, and you also know how to do it. And so I feel like that sort of shifts the power a little bit in certain situations, especially with live sound guys. I feel like it's really hard to get them to take you seriously. So I feel like if you know what you want and how to ask for it, that helps a lot. Even if you don't want to produce yourself or anything. If you're going into a studio, to be like, okay, I have like a basic knowledge level of production, and I'm gonna show you that I know what I want, and I'm gonna like help me, you know. I feel like that was a big thing for me, to be like, okay, I need to sort of know what I'm talking about, and because it's important for me to know what I'm talking about, to be able to get what I want in certain situations.
But it's weird. I feel like even for me and my friends, live sound people are just fucking rude. I don't know why.
Yeah, like, why are you all so
They have
mean?
a stick up their butt. They're mad about something. Oh,
Why?
Like
my
you chose this
God.
profession, like
Yes. Yeah. No, they're pissed at nothing.
all the time.
Why are you so mad?
It's so true.
But I don't know. One time, so this is comedy related though. But one time I brought an XLR cord, and that just made the guy be super nice that I had the extra equipment with me, and I was like, oh, okay. And then he wanted to help me out, but I'm also like, this is a venue. Shouldn't you have all this equipment?
Yeah, like if
already?
you don't have an
Right?
XLR cord, like what are you doing?
But yeah, that's an interesting thing because doing anything live is already scary enough. So the last thing
Yeah.
you need is some live
mean.
Someone that
sound.
like hates you.
Like, for what? Like, why do you hate me? We met 2 minutes ago. Like,
Oh yeah, no, I so feel that. You're like, did I set down my shit in the wrong spot? You know, like they're pissed.
So what is that? What is it? What about like? So me going on tour right now. Well, there's two ways I've been on tour. I've been on tour as a podcaster, right? And that's just either renting studio space or just gathering all my gear.
Yeah.
So like I have gear at 2 different studios in Seattle. Occasionally in my trunk. I don't want to say all the time in case someone fucking.
There's nothing in my car. I swear to God.
And then like stuff at my
Don't look.
house, right? So
Right.
like I have equipment I could record a podcast anywhere at any time, right? So there's having equipment there, and then there's comedy venues, which is pretty simple because you just need to like talk into a
Yeah, a
microphone,
couple mics or something.
right? But what is it like going to? So I guess comedy and podcasting is kind of similar, especially because a lot of comedians have podcasts as well.
right.
But going to different cities to perform music, is that scary? Like, do you have to worry about like the live sound and all that, or like?
For sure.
it's hard because we've only done it like one time, really.
But even between the venues we were at this last tour, some were like, that sounded awesome. Some were like, my monitors were completely blown out on stage and I could not hear anything. I think it's a lot harder for vocals to get a better mix in their floor monitors because we're still using floor monitors instead of just straight in-ears in some of these smaller venues. For me, I'm like, if I can hear my guitar and I can hear the track, like that's fine. But sometimes it's really hard to get these vocals to cut above what's happening, and India's like kind of flying blind, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's just sort of expected at this point. I feel like until you can afford to bring your own sound engineer, you kind of just have to take what you
I didn't
get.
even realize people bring their own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people
Oh,
have like
that's-
someone to come and like set it up so it's the same every night you perform, which sounds awesome.
And they know like what parts of the songs this needs to happen at, or like boost vocals here, or like throw guitar up here, or whatever. you know?
We met
pretty
a
sick.
band who basically was like, yeah, things like don't improve until you can do that, essentially, which makes a lot of sense to just have someone who's like, okay, I know what you need to hear in your monitor. I know what it should sound like out there, and it's going to be like that every time.
Right.
Versus like someone different doing it in different spaces with different equipment every night. Like, of course it's going to sound different. So
It's crazy. Do you guys know, like, what do you guys listen to? You guys listen to bands more, or what is
Definitely.
genre?
I feel bands and like, I guess artists.
artists.
The difference.
Like Pablo Picasso? You listen to
Yeah, right. And painters, an architect. We love like Phoebe Bridgers. We listen to a lot of Japanese Breakfast, Girl in Red, Muna.
Oh, I know Girl in Red.
Hell
Beanie
yeah.
Doobie, the 1975.
Yeah, 1975.
I feel like that's everyone's like.
Yeah, that's
Everyone
like very
has
base
them on their list
level
somewhere.
indie
Exactly,
taste.
exactly. If you like indie music. Yeah, no, seriously, like we are not. We are
It's not special, but it is because it's all good. Gracie Abrams is amazing.
But there was this like weird experience where, do you know who Royal Blood is? by any
Yeah.
chance?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know who Cleopatra is?
Yeah, I've heard the name. Yes.
Cleopatra's pretty dope. Royal Blood definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Royal Blood like 3 months ago, right? and Cleopatra, which is also a pretty big band, came on first, and their sound was just shot, right?
No.
And then Royal Bloods was just perfect. And I'm also like, with that messed up sound, they probably didn't gain as many new followers as they could have through that. So like, just think, I don't know. I'm trying to do more like live audience podcasts. So thinking about like sounds and everything just kind of freaks me out. You know?
It's kind of crazy.
Like a podcast studio is insane because, so before I had a podcast studio, I was always had to like set up here. We have to work on lighting, but besides that, that's not terrible versus like having to reset everything up. But like before, I would have to like take everything everywhere. But now, like you kind of understand where everything's gonna be set up now. So it's like you're really in a controlled environment. Yeah. And then at my other studio, which is like way smaller, it's like just this room is my other studio, right? So like and that's usually where I have most of my clients. So I'll go in at like 10 a.m. and during the winter I'll leave at like 5 or something, and it's completely dark out. So it's just like
the worst.
It's crazy, but it's just such a controlled enviorment. Yeah. And then going somewhere else to bring your equipment, it's kind of I don't know. Yeah,
especially going like live environments too.
Yeah.
It can go anyway.
Yeah, things always whack out right at the worst times. You know, like that's live performing is like,
but it's still
you never know what's gonna happen. Yeah.
But I'm excited to see you guys perform because I've actually never been to Capitol Hill Block Party.
Excited.
So I'm guessing it's on Capitol Hill.
I suppose it would be on Capitol Hill.
It's not like in a park. Is it in a park?
It's not in a park.
I feel
it's just
like
on the street, right?
They've got to like shut down some
that.
intersections or
that's what we saw. A stage getting set up today, and it looked like they have like barricades and they're just blocking streets and building big stages.
That's cool. Do you guys think about like do you have like a solid audience in Seattle? I'm guessing you do. Like
I have no
Who's
idea.
to say?
I feel like we've gotten a couple DMs from people that are excited to see us. Yeah.
But really, like, who knows if
we
never
know.
Come.
We
never know.
When we come to a different city, we're like, maybe someone's
maybe we'll go. Yeah.
Maybe not.
But I guess like festivals are cool though. Like there's obviously people there like all day to hear.
Yeah, we've never played one, so I'm very curious to see what it'll be like.
This is like your like origin of Seattle. Now, like, next thing you know, you're gonna be coming to every tour to Seattle.
I hope so.
I love it here. This place is sick.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
So what is that? I want to talk about Seattle in a little bit more, but before that, you guys both came in today, right? So what is that like being in a band, but you guys are living in two different cities?
Well, we were in the same city most of last year, but we're on our way.
A year and a half.
Yeah, we're moving to LA as a band and with some other people. So I left New York. I left Brooklyn like 2 weeks ago. So I've been in Minnesota because I was like, that's a solid stopping point
for the past.
But otherwise, we were in the same
2
city,
years,
except for the pandemic.
Except for the pandemic.
But see, that's the thing. We're still in a pandemic, I guess.
Except for the beginning.
The beginning of the pandemic when you didn't go outside.
Pre-vaccine.
Okay. Yeah. So for like a year, was that like a year? You guys
it was about
were apart?
a year. Yeah.
Like 7 months. I flew.
It's like 9 months, right? March through December, we were not living in the same place.
I thought you guys were just like separate this entire.
Oh, that would be so hard.
Because there is new like applications that have come out that have made it possible to be in different cities.
Right.
Like, have you heard of Band Lab or anything like that?
Yes. Yeah. Where you can collaborate on the same session from far away.
There we go.
I'm waiting for like Logic and stuff to do that.
To be able to do
I'm like, why can't 2 people work on the same Logic session? That would be
or
Ableton.
Like Google Docs, you know, like you could do that.
That's right.
That would make so much
Write
sense.
each other notes.
Yeah. This sucks. Delete.
So are you guys like roommates then, or like how does?
Yeah, we have kind of a crazy living situation. So it's us, and then we're in a 3-story apartment building with 3 apartments, and we and 6 other friends occupy the top 2 apartments. So it's like a friend's.
There's multiple. It's like a townhouse.
It's like a brownstone type.
Brownstone. Yeah. So there's a bottom floor apartment, and then like a second floor apartment, and
a third floor
apartment.
And so 4 of our friends live upstairs, and then 2 other people live downstairs with us. And
but we know everyone.
Yeah.
We kind of stacked it so it'd be a content house. So like our manager, shout out Nicole,
lives right upstairs.
Nicole lives upstairs. One of our friends, Eli, Eli Edwards did a ton of like photo shoots and did the Superstar video, the What's His Name video, and Howells as
Howells,
well. This guy like really pulled through for us.
Yeah.
But he does a ton
He
of our
lives
photos.
downstairs with us.
Our makeup artist,
You have a
Ali
makeup
Sharp,
artist?
Lives upstairs.
He's not our makeup artist, but
And
we're,
friend
like, begging
who
every time.
happens to be a makeup artist.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
luckily.
She lives upstairs. Yeah, we have it all kind of loaded in there. Another one of our roommates works at a touring agency, so it's been really nice to talk to him to be like, what's happening?
You guys are all really creative. So.
Yeah, it's been really, really
It's been
fun.
nice, yeah.
And they're all moving with you to LA then, or what is that? Going
Not,
Not
all
everyone.
of
Oh,
us.
that's
This
like a
is
rough
sad
breakup
part, but
almost.
it
I
really
know.
is really hard to leave them. But 6, 7 of us. Oh my god, I just named off a bunch of
No.
And that's in
numbers.
New York, right? By the way, or
That's in New
Yeah,
York.
that
that's
was in Brooklyn. And then
5 total are moving. No,
well, plus like
6.
2 more.
7 people total.
5, 6, 7. You did the exactly.
6 people total
6 people
are
total are
moving
moving.
to LA,
Thank you,
and
Nicole.
2 people are staying behind.
And it's just because of the more opportunities in LA, or what is the reasoning behind it?
You know,
For-
no, I think
It's just on a whim,
India's
actually.
so
We're
salty
kinda
about
like-
leaving New York. India's like, why would we ever? There's nothing. No, there's a ton of opportunities in LA.
Mhm.
And I think like the producers out there, engineers, other creative people, our label's based out of there.
Okay, so you
R&R.
guys are part of a label.
Yeah. We signed with them, I think August
Mhm.
of 2021.
Okay, let's break down this real quick. So you have a manager, an agent, and a label. What was the order?
manager.
label, agent.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're based out of there. Just a lot of people are based out of LA right now,
Mhm.
and it's like everyone says that's kind of where the scene's happening right now, and
So
we're
why
kind of
not
like, why
try
would we
it?
not seek it out? You know?
Yeah. And a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And,
It's gonna be a total, especially from New York. I don't know what's.
I
I have
can't
no idea what's
drive.
like. Minnesota's like this. I can't. I'm guessing it's definitely a
Minnesota
change, too.
is like, I think honestly, in some ways, it's like closer to the lifestyle of Minnesota. Just the weather is completely different, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a warm winter.
Yeah.
Like I'll take that. But it's so different from New York. You know, just the public transportation change and everything. It'll
I guess
be
you
interesting.
you already Uber, I'm guessing, a lot, right? In New
Oh
York?
yeah, I Uber plenty.
Oh, I Uber.
So you'll probably.
We're
Uber, or do you
gonna
guys
I drive
drive?
at least.
Claire
Yeah.
can drive. I cannot drive.
You can't drive in general. Like you don't have your license.
No, I never needed
the
to.
heck?
I lived in
I
New
know,
York,
right?
and then I went to Boston, and then I moved back to New York. I just never.
Like you've driven a car at least once, though.
No, like never. I've like drove around a parking lot maybe one time
Oh,
5 years ago, and that's it.
dang.
So it's gonna be interesting.
India's great
I
at the electric
know.
scooter, though.
I love
Not my
an
bike.
electric scooter. Me on the freeway, like
Yeah, you're like merging.
Like you need to like. I guess you can Uber some parts of LA, but everything's so far.
It's far apart.
too.
It's gonna run up the
Yeah.
bank account.
Like,
I will be carpooling with Claire.
I know. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to drive her everywhere.
dang. Well, that's super
Or
cool,
learn
though.
to drive eventually.
Yeah, probably. There we
Maybe.
go. But then cars are expensive.
Yeah.
LA, like I
Me.
think, yeah, like when I was first in LA, it was already like $5 or something.
Yeah.
and this was
It's
last
like
year,
7
right?
now, right?
I think probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's it out
easily.
here?
$5, right? So like when I was in LA, I was like, Seattle's never gonna reach $5, and now we're at $5, and they're probably at
No.
like
I
I
7
think
or
they're
8.
actually at 7, almost $8 for gas.
I can't remember where I was, but I was driving back from New York to Minnesota like 2 weeks ago. I was in the middle of nowhere, and gas was like $4.79. I'm like,
That's still expensive.
what is this?
honestly.
Yeah, I'm like, why
What
the
heck?
hell is it this high out here? You know,
At the beginning of the pandemic, it was like
Like-
$2 near my house.
it dropped down to under $1 at one point in Minnesota. I think it dropped to like
No
90
way.
something cents, and we were like,
Should've
wee! You know, you're just like go
stashed
for
it.
fun. Yeah, you're like, I might as well go fill up the car.
That's almost like an NFT you can make.
Yeah, it was sick.
90 cents, dang. So that's cool. I feel like you are going to build an audience in Seattle, right?
Great.
We're a very open city, and we love bands. You know, I think
Yeah, I
like,
love the music.
this is very random, but when I think of like bands for whatever reason, I think of Brockhampton.
Yeah.
Okay, but like Brockhampton was like huge, and then before they broke up, like they're in Seattle like every other month. It
Whoa,
seems like.
really?
You know what I mean?
Holy shit.
So like Seattle's always looking for a band to like to root for.
Right.
I feel like, and I am a fan of your guys' music now, to be honest.
Awesome.
Thank
Um,
you.
I like to say I'm a tastemaker, you know, but it takes
Yeah.
Love to hear it.
takes time, right? But like after like the first song I listened to, I was like, I need to have you guys on the podcast, and now I've listened to all 5 projects, singles, and
Oh,
everything.
thank you.
I would like to say my favorite single is Ghost. I
Oh,
know. That's 2
really?
years
Deep cut,
ago though,
deep
but I
cut.
still
Whoa.
like, I added it to my playlist. Even I was like,
Love to hear it.
We
like,
gotta
what
start playing that live again.
Yeah, I
We
haven't
it's been a
played
that
long
in
time.
so long.
really?
Yeah, because I feel like we have so much. So we released Ghost as the Blue.
Yeah, that was still
So-
while we're in college.
Yeah, it just feels like a totally different thing than what we're doing now. But I still love that song. We just haven't played it in so long.
Right.
Mhm. What is your guys' like each favorite singles they've released?
Oh god, this is
I feel
hard.
like I love Legs. Maybe because it's like newer, but I love that one and I love Congratulations.
Yeah, I feel
And
like I love
Superstar.
Your Best Friend still.
Oh.
And yeah, maybe Legs.
Yeah.
Legs off of this new EP has been really fun, especially to play live.
Mm-hmm.
And what about like I feel like you guys are indie. So with indie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like general, so you can almost make any sound. You know
Mhm.
what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
like
For
like you
sure.
were saying, you guys started with like country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now it's like, ooh. Do you guys know who Sales is? Or Sale? Like I feel like at any moment you can make a country song or a song
Yeah,
song that's like
yeah.
lo-fi, like Sale. Is it Sale
Mhm.
or Sale? I forget which. But
Yeah.
Sale.
they're very dope.
Maybe?
They're like one of my favorite artists right now. You know what I mean? But like
Right.
that's what's so. I think with my podcast, because it's only been around for like 3 years, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Which is still a decent amount of time.
Yeah, that's
But like I've been
awesome.
able to like, because I started off trying to be open with types of artists and people that I'm not like boxed in, and with you guys, I felt like you guys did the same thing, which is really
Mhm.
cool to see. Like, so
Mhm.
sometimes like I don't have a specific example off the top of my head, but like if someone tries to go from like hip hop to like country, you're like, what?
yeah,
the fuck?
huge
What
change.
is
You're like,
But like
Hello?
if you guys start off like open to most genres, then
Right.
it's not like your fans aren't going to be like turned off by that.
yeah, I never
I
really
hope
thought of it
not.
like that. That's a really good way to put
I
it.
think it also helped that we like completely changed names
Mm.
to
And
when we
aesthetic,
switched
yeah.
genres. We were like, okay, we're just the blue is dead. We're not doing that anymore.
Why was it the blue? Was it like some sad thing? The blue.
Why was it called the blue?
Oh, you don't even.
I don't even remember.
I think it
There's
was
like
your
a
dad
lot
came
of
up with
different
it.
versions of the story that have accumulated over the years.
I remember talking about a bruise and it being like the black and the blue or
Yeah,
something
it-
like that, and then we're like,
We were like
the blue.
the blue.
And then what about boyish? Why are you boyish now?
Boyish. Well, we decided we needed to change names because one, we didn't like the blue, and two, it was impossible to find because it's just so like
Did not exist anywhere.
you just like can't
Literally,
find
yeah,
it.
you Google the blue and they're like,
Why's the sky come up first?
Yeah, exactly. And so Nicole, in addition to us, we were like, we need to change this, and it took us so long. And there's a Japanese breakfast song called Boyish, and one of the lyrics is, "Here we are, we're just two losers." And I was like, you know what? That feels right for this moment in time.
Wow.
And so I suggested Boyish, and you hated it.
I hated it at first.
Claire wanted to be Miss Jaguar.
Which would have been so fun. I know, how hilarious.
It's like, now that I think about
Now
that,
looking
I'm
back
like,
on that, I was like,
never.
that would have been a horrible decision. We would have
Horrible.
been very different,
But
but,
we, like-
it could have been fun.
We're really torn up about it. We're like, are we Boyish or are we Miss Jaguar for so long? And
In
Nicole's
my
like,
defense,
please don't name yourself Miss
in my
Jaguar.
defense, a lot of the people we asked were really 50-50.
No, that's actually not true.
Yes, it was.
entirely Boyish, and you being like, but Miss Jaguar.
I was not sold. Well, because India wanted to name it after Japanese breakfast, but didn't tell me that. I was like, oh, boyish, because I look boyish. I was like, this is a read. I'm
not about you.
Yeah, I was like, no. I was like, I will not be commodified. But and then when she finally told me, she's like, no, it's after this song. I was like, lit.
So that's what you
Like,
guys
let's go.
connect over, Japanese breakfast.
Love,
Yeah,
love.
Love
Yeah.
her.
Have you seen them live though?
I actually, we did a show at South by Southwest where she was DJing,
Ooh.
right
Yes.
after us.
After our set, yeah.
Right after our set, and got to like talk to her very briefly. And then I got to see her at Gov Ball this last time around, and she's just amazing. Like, her band is amazing. She's amazing. I love her. That's all I can say. Like,
That's all I can say.
I just love her.
Hell yeah. Well, you guys are great guests. I'm happy that we were able to do this. What are your guys' goals with your music?
Whoa. World domination.
Yeah, no, we really want to take over.
Yeah, I feel like that's a hard question because I feel like I want to sound realistic with my goals, but I feel like the truth always comes out. It's just like I just want like the most I can possibly get from this. Mm-hmm. And even if it's like where we are right now, I'm so happy. Like, I love to be able to do this for my job and my life, and I want to tour more. I want to tour bigger venues. I want to,
and you will,
write more music. And
I'm like, I want a Grammy. I
yeah,
want to play
like,
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
I really
like,
want to play at Wembley. I feel like I have these
insane
big goals.
Yeah,
but I'm not ashamed of it. Like, I'll be honest with it. Like, I just want to make this thing as big as it can possibly get.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I also really want to be like a queer staple. And I think the most fulfilling thing about doing this has been reaching these young queer audiences. I think that's so cool. Yeah. You know, like that just feels like, fuck yeah. Like,
so you do want to like lead by example.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I'm the best example, but like, I'm just happy that they know that, you know, being who they are is so cool, you know?
Yes. That's super exciting. So also for like artists that are still trying to make this a career, how long did it take you guys until you were able to quit whatever day jobs you guys did
like
have?
Literally last week.
Wow.
Like I was a nanny for like all of the pandemic, and before that I worked at a school, and before that, you know, I worked at a doggy daycare, and just did a lot of like Claire and I worked at a doggy daycare together.
That was hilarious.
We were like, great, here we are. The band's going really well.
Picking up literal poop.
It takes a really long time. And you just kind of, I think I just sort of accepted it and like found something that worked for me. Like, nannying was very like flexible, and I was able to like take time off to tour and do what I need to do and then show up, and I was really lucky with the family that I nannied for. But yeah, like literally last week I was like, okay, I'm done. And that's been like 6 years or so.
Fuck them kids.
Yeah. You're done. Walk yourself to school. I'm not doing it.
Bring yourself home. No, I will miss them terribly.
Wink, right?
Yeah, right.
We hate you, kids.
No, so it does take a long time, I would say.
For sure, yeah. I was a nanny too up until June. Just part-time, because that just helps with the stability of it, you know, because some months you're like, yeah, we have some gigs. Some months you're like, what's happening? But my last job before that, I was working at this music store, and I got fired from it from taking too much time off to go gigging. And after that, I was like, I'm not gonna like get another like real job after this. I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna make this work no matter what. Which was really bold of me, because it was tough. It was tough, but luckily I had that nannying money for a little bit to carry me through. But yeah, up until June, it took forever to be able to do this full time.
There we go. Oh, I think one of the cameras died. Fuck. Your camera died. Damn it. So
it said, you're done.
This is the one thing about the studio. We're still working out the bugs. But like I said, you guys are a great guest. I'm happy they were able to come together and do this, so you can still speak.
Yeah, I know. I kind of like this being in like the void. You just hear me, you don't see me.
just in the void. I guess, India, what is some advice that you have for up and coming artists, creators, influencers?
Okay, this is my advice. I would say be patient with yourself. Don't give up. Really, I feel like, as cliche and dumb as that is, like, there are a lot of parts of this that can be really disheartening at times, and it can feel really tiring and like you're not getting anywhere. But if you're putting in effort every day and you're working on your music, like, you're gonna get somewhere.
Yeah.
And it just takes time. That's it. And it's better to build something slowly than have something blow up overnight and then disappear. And that's like the biggest thing I've always told myself is like, I'm building my career so that it lasts longer. And I would say that's my advice, is just be patient with yourself and work. To sound like Kim Kardashian, no one wants to work
Get
anymore.
up and
work hard. Like, but truly just like dedicate every day to doing something for, you know, a goal you're working towards, and be nice to yourself.
Yeah, see, it's already been 7 years now, or close to it.
6
Yeah, I
years
suppose 7
probably.
years since we
7
met.
years since we
That's-
met.
See, overnight
hate
success is
that.
like 10 years or something, whatever people.
Yeah, exactly. There's no
Yeah,
such thing
seriously.
as, I mean, I'm sure there is such a thing as overnight success, but not here.
And now we're here in Seattle. You know, you guys are doing
with us.
a festival in Seattle. You
Yeah.
know, like not everyone can say that on the camera there right now. Not everyone can say that. Once again, we will figure out this camera situation. But yeah, not everyone can say that they're able to perform in Seattle at Capitol Hill Block Party. There's so many Seattle artists that have been making music for a decade plus. I would die to be part of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're taking
Shit.
their opportunity. I'm just kidding.
I'm like,
So actually, you should go home.
No, but like you guys are
You're
obviously
ruining the local music scene, so I hope you're happy.
First was the tech people, now it's you. Fuck.
Hope you're real happy with yourself
This is why there aren't any house shows.
because of you.
Capitol Hill.
I'm dead. Go stream Boyish.
They're ruining Seattle's music scene.
I'm a fan. Honestly, I am. I liked your guys' interviews. I'm happy you've done enough that we didn't have to like cover your entire background. You know, we could just talk about.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, you know. So thank you guys very much. Thanks for dealing with all this tech shit. And yeah, this has been the NAST pod. We got Claire over here, but
Hello from the void.
this is
Live from the void.
the NAST podcast with.
I'm India, and we're Boyish.
Yeah.
And Claire's over there.
And I'm in the void.
And we did it.